Hey everybody, it's Nathan here, and you may be looking at this and thinking, wait a minute Nathan, that's not the studio.
Anvil of War! Anvil on the road!
I am currently well above a mile over sea level, up in the Utah mountains. And what's going on up here in the Utah mountains is an incredible event known as Valhalla, taking place right here at the Timber Moose Lodge. So we are currently about an hour outside Salt Lake City. You can hear the wind, you can see the sun and the trees. It is truly a war gamer's paradise. We are now looking at Valhalla's lodge. So this handsome little cabin is over 20,000 square feet of war gamer fun. And once you go through that door, you are truly in paradise. Owen from Gaming with the Cooler, otherwise known as the Cooler of Gaming with the Cooler. So for those of you who don't really know him, so why don't you sort of introduce yourself, explain what you do, your channel, where we can find you, and go from there.
Yeah, I make battle reports for the most part, do some live streaming games and stuff like that, where I just talk about whatever. Gaming with the Cooler, YouTube/Gaming with the Cooler, or Gaming with the Cooler on Facebook, and ostensibly on Twitter. I don't post anything on Twitter, but it exists.
If you could take what you know now, sitting here at the heavens of gaming, and travel back in time to past Owen and give yourself some advice about wargaming, getting into the hobby and things like that, what sort of like 3 things would you want to tell yourself then that you know now?
It's been so long since I got into the hobby. I don't remember what it was like when I first got, because like it's so different now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. Like miniature gaming now isn't miniature gaming even 10 years ago, because Kickstarter came out.
Yes.
And Kickstarter has changed the entire world of miniature games. There's hundreds of them now. Like it used to be, there was maybe like 4 that people could name, and probably 20 that actually existed. And now one comes out every month. There's a new Kickstarter of some kind of game style coming out. So like, at this point, if I was trying to get into something, what looks cool? What friends do you have that will play with you? Because that's going to be the deciding factor. It's all well and good if you pick a good game or a game that you want, but if you have no one to play against, then you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So my advice is the advice that I used when I first started, which was pick a game that my buddies would play.
Yeah.
And we played that game. I like building stuff, but I don't like painting, and I'm very much a like, I'm going to buy a thing because I want it, and it does something good in the game. Like I'm actually like the worst consumer when it comes to miniature games because I'm buying for power. And it means that if anything ever changes, the value of those models to me changes. So like if you buy something because it's really cool looking, it doesn't matter what erratas come out, or even if the game dies, but you got it because it's really cool looking and you enjoyed painting and building it. I don't enjoy painting and I don't really enjoy building. It's okay, but... So for me, I'm buying things because they're good in the games that I like to play. But if those games die, and they have, a lot of them have, hopefully someone somewhere will play this.
So I'm not super familiar with Infinity. So like you said, that's sort of your main...
Yeah, it's my favorite game.
It is?
It has the best puzzle.
Okay.
There's no good answer.
There's no good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a fairly... It's more like a skirmish game, something like Kill Team, like your 5, 10 models? And
10 to 20.
10 to 20?
If you really want to spam, you get to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's... From what I understand, it's very tactical, and like you said, there's a lot of interaction, so a lot of terrain to model interaction and things like that?
Yeah, it's also player engagement, because every action your opponent does, you get to make a response to with any models that see that action take place.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, you're never not playing, because any move your opponent does, you're counter-moving, regardless of whose turn it is. But it's a game that is constantly engaging, whereas like, I had the opposite problem with War Machine, because I played a ton of War Machine really competitively for a while. And it's so, like, okay, do your thing. Tell me what I have to take off the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come back in 40 minutes. Oh, you assassinated me. I'm dead. Like, and there's nothing you can do about it, because it's the opponent's turn, so you just wait. At least 40k pretends to have 2 players activating by giving you armor saves.
Yeah.
You don't need an armor save. Like, armor saves could literally just be the damage to kill a guy. You would just abolish armor saves and be like, instead of needing a 4 to wound, you need a 5 to wound, but it kills it. So like Terminators would be like -1 to wound,
Yeah.
as opposed to having an armor save. They're literally there just to make you feel like you're doing something when you're defending.
So now you're defending. Yeah, you're involved.
you're like, oh, I'm helping. I'm playing the game, and I'm defending with my guys. Whereas the War Machine took it the other way, where they went, well, we just give you a to hit value and a to damage value, and you have X damage. So you have no input on what happens there when your opponent starts rolling dice. And so you can really feel like you're getting diced because you never have a chance to roll back against that.
Okay.
And 40K does a good job of fixing that by giving you an armor save.
This is one of my absolute favorite parts of this event. Is just the amazing views and the beauty that you get to see from this event. So for those of you who saw earlier, there's the little driveway. I climbed up some more mountains, and we're just out on one of the like 15 balconies of this giant cabin just outside the games room. We have one of the masterminds behind the Valhalla event, Miranda from WargameGirl, or I should say the WargameGirl.
The WargameGirl. Not too many of them.
Not too many right now. But so why don't you introduce yourself? Sort of give a little background on yourself for maybe people who haven't necessarily found you online yet.
Yeah, that's good because YouTube hides me pretty well, I think, anymore. So yeah, my name is Miranda. I run the channel WargameGirl on YouTube, and I typically have done these very cinematic, super in-depth battle reports over War Machine. But I've also got some Company of Iron on there. I've got Space Hulk. And a few different board games we were trying out, and I'm looking to get into Kill Team now, and I'm all in on 40K at this point, so that's sort of the direction my channel is going, plus some RPG stuff, so I do a lot of that. And then on the side, I also run Valhalla in the fall, so we come out to this amazing, gorgeous cabin once a year to hang out, eat amazing food, play games to our heart's content, and it's all just very casual, no tournament play, just play a game whenever.
3 things that if you could travel back in time and find yourself at the beginning of this hobby and be like, listen, like hop out of the portal like the Flash does and just say, these are the things you need to know. What would they be? Sort of your top 3, like, I wish I thought of that, X number of years ago.
Well, I had I was a little advantaged on that because I knew so many people already who were into the hobby. And so there's no lack of advice from gamers. They'll know. They're all like, oh, there's this technique and this technique. The thing I would definitely say, and I've always kind of known it anyway, is just take most advice with a grain of salt because you'll find your own way. You'll find what works for you. I remember the first time I learned how to paint a miniature. I was living in Oklahoma, and I went to Games HQ. And Mike there was very nice, and he was trying to teach me how to paint. And he was showing me like highlight and low light colors, and by the end, it was a disaster. The model was awful looking because there's just too much going on. It's not all the way I want to paint my miniatures. Generally, I'm like, no, let's stick with 4 colors, throw a black wash on there, some highlights, put a face on, done. That's how I like to paint. But it took me years. I just thought I was garbage at it for like the first couple years, and I'd pawn it off. Yeah. So it took a while to kind of come back around. Like, no, painting is actually pretty fun. Because when I got into gaming, I was more like, I just want to crush my enemies. I just want to fight. I don't want to deal with the assembly and painting. And obviously, I'm several hundred models behind on it anyway, so it's still not. I think
everyone is at this point. Yeah, you always have the collection, but it just seems never to finish.
It's true. It's a social hobby. I mean, you're looking at the board gaming renaissance happening right now. Kickstarter's funded over $1 billion in board games.
Yeah.
And the idea is that, well, and it's fine because. Yeah. As we've gone through this whole technological age, and video games have been a big thing, and the online play has been a big thing, you've seen, we've disconnected from each other, largely. And
no more couch co-op on a lot of games, which is too bad.
Yeah, I think they're maybe starting to try and bring that back, but you're right. For the most part, it's just online integrated play, and you don't know who it is you're playing with half the time. Yeah. I mean, if you play World of Warcraft or in a Battleground, you don't know who you're killing. I mean, and that can go for a lot of games. That's just the one I happen to play. And so with board games, it actually is an excuse to socially come together again. You have a board gaming night with your buddies, or the family has a game night. Yeah. And wargaming has always been that to me, as far as I can tell. It's like where people go to congregate and be social with each other. And so if there's like a solo option, it's probably really helpful for practicing and learning the game. But the whole point of playing war games should be to socialize, and that's actually one of the issues I take with like heavy, high-level tournament gaming,
it's not
which
very
is fine on its own.
Welcoming.
Well, yeah, so if that's all you do, then you're not really socializing with each other, you're not really hanging out, you're just sort of mutually, like, it's just too much testing of each other. I don't think you get as much of a friendship or camaraderie going on. The thing about war games is it takes multiple people to keep that game alive. One of the issues I had, I was really enjoying the game Wrath of Kings.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Couldn't get anyone to play it with me.
Yeah.
And I just, without partners in it, then the game will die. But the nice thing that was happening here at Valhalla is, 40K is easily the biggest one. Most people kind of have that, and that's the starting. But then you have, like, these spheres, right? So 40K is the one that everyone plays, so you play that one.
Yeah.
But then you have, like, spheres of interest. Oh, I like Drop Zone. Oh, I like Infinity. Oh, I like Malifaux. Oh, I like Mordheim.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of Kill Team happening, but I know there's been Mordheim games happening. I played a Company of Iron game last night. And because it's just so casual, you're like, hey, you want to try out this game?
Yeah.
I learned Shadespire last night for the first time.
All right, so up here is the main wargaming room. Lots of tables set up, as you can see. Everything from Conflict 47 and Bolt Action to Warhammer to Fallout, the board game. Here's a quick preview of some of the games that are kicking around here. Lots of games. And so we've come to another casual corner of the 20,000 square foot manor that is Valhalla. And we're just going to sit down here with Josh from Mini Wargaming and have a chat. So why don't you sort of give yourself a little introduction, explain what you do, and
okay,
we'll go from there.
So for anybody not familiar with me, I work for a company called Mini Wargaming, and I'm currently employed as the studio manager there. So Mini Wargaming is a company. We produce bat reps and other gaming videos. Have that up on YouTube, as well as we have a subscription service called The Vault where we put additional videos.
Yeah.
So my day-to-day there as the studio manager is I'm just kind of in charge of all the day-to-day operations as well as all the scheduling. So as far as scheduling content to go out, making sure things get edited on time, scheduling guests that come in, making sure the guests are taken care of for anything that they need, make sure the content producers have everything they need to be able to do their jobs, just kind of keep the machine running.
So if you could hop in a time capsule, launch yourself back 10, 15 years ago, and speak to Josh from the past, what sort of would you, let's say like the 3 things you'd want to tell yourself about the hobby, knowing now what you do?
I think number one, to try to tell myself that if you end up in the right place at the right time, you can make a living off of doing the hobby. I don't think young me would have believed that in any way, shape, or form. So that's number one. I think number 2 is probably hold on to the armies that you like and don't trade them off. So things like the first miniature I painted, the first full army I painted. Things like that I just kind of got bored of and traded off at the time that I really wish that I had nowadays. I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm not sure.
You'd have to look in your young twinkling eyes and see what they need and
see what, because generally speaking, my entire hobby journey, if you will, was pretty good. I mean, there's nothing that I really regret.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I would have told myself that you need to learn to paint and enjoy painting. Like, you need to find a way to enjoy painting. You have to, and to take the time to practice and all that. And I think it's always tough because people are worried about being a good painter.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big division, and that's usually when they talk about, how technical of a painter you are, and how, fancy of techniques you know. But some of the people that I consider to be the best painters I know are the ones that they have a high degree of skill.
Yeah.
They can do some really technical stuff, some real fancy stuff, but they are also able to assembly line paint like nobody else.
Yeah.
So the people that could paint an army to a high standard in a weekend, that's huge.
That's
for me.
admirable. Yes.
That is, to stress over one miniature and have it really be over the top, gorgeous. I can appreciate that, but not as much as somebody that's like, here's an unpainted army on Friday night, and Sunday evening, and now it's fully painted and ready to play.
Okay, so what would you say to someone who's sort of on the fence about Valhalla?
I mean, if you're on the fence about Valhalla, I guess it kind of comes down to why you're on the fence about it.
Okay.
I assume there'd be a lot of people that the 2 hang-ups would be
Cost and travel.
The cost and the cost and travel I lump in together, and worrying about if you're showing up by yourself, not being a part of the group, and for both of them, like both times coming to Valhalla, it's a very friendly, welcoming group.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody sitting around being bored. Like, it's very easy to engage. You're going to be surrounded by people that share similar interests, even if they don't play the same games. There's always stuff. And there's a lot of games that are good to kind of relationship build almost, and you can kind of get to know people. Like, I bring two every year, and that's a good game to get everybody kind of hanging out and talking.
Yeah.
And as far as the cost and the travel, if you're ready to take a vacation, I mean, the cost is the same, if not substantially less expensive.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be on the cheaper end of vacations.
For sure.
For the amount of time that you're here, the facilities are great, and it's definitely it's money well spent.
Pardon the wind noise, but I am currently at the absolute tippy-top tallest point of this cabin, which is 3 stories tall, so I'm quite far up, and you can just see the absolute unreal views. So, not to keep flogging that dead horse about the beauty of nature. One of the nice benefits of Valhalla is that you get to meet a lot of really interesting people and some pretty big names in the wargaming community. And lucky for me, sitting to my side here is none other than Adam from Tabletop Minions. So for those who don't know, why don't you introduce yourself and sort of give yourself a little spiel where people can find you?
Sure. I'm Adam, and I'm on Tabletop Minions. I started the channel about 5.5 years ago on YouTube. It is about tabletop wargaming and the miniatures hobby, mostly. My main mission for the channel is to predominantly try to get new people into the hobby. So it is a lot of videos aimed towards the questions that people ask when they are getting into the hobby, like what color primer should I use, and all kinds of things like that. So I do videos every Friday. Coming up in another couple of weeks, it'll be 3 years straight of a video every Friday. And then I also have a live show I do on YouTube every other Sunday, which is strangely enough called the Every Other Sunday Show.
Okay.
And that is basically a 2-hour on Sunday morning kind of show where I usually have a subject, but it's usually like a short out of the 2 hours kind of subject, and I talk about it a little bit, but then I also just answer questions from chat and have a conversation with the people that are in chat and that kind of stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
If you can go back all those years ago and give yourself sort of 3 major tips for the wargaming hobby, what would those 3 big, like, I wish I knew then?
I would say to not take your early paint jobs real seriously. Understand that, and you see people do this a lot, and I did it myself, is that you would see these amazing pictures. Back when I started, it wasn't particularly on the internet, but if you see these amazing pictures in the magazines and things like that of this painted work, and then you would paint and you'd be like, wow, this doesn't look anything like that. And you just kind of have to understand that, what you're doing in comparison to what people who've been doing it for 20 years are doing are going to be totally different, and it takes time to get there. So I guess, in a nutshell, patience and practice.
Yeah.
I think that I would probably tell people also to, I don't know, I like skirmish games because it has a very buffet feel to it. I can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that as opposed to a huge kind of battle game. So that's maybe more of a personal preference that I would kind of respond to myself, because I was trying to play like larger games that were more popular at the time. And then, gosh, I don't know, a third thing. Probably don't worry about brushes so much, but take better care of them. I mean, even a cheap brush can do really good work, as long as you don't, really leave a lot of paint kind of stuck up in the upper part of the bristles and all that kind of stuff. So do some research to go online and try to figure out, like, what's the best way to clean your brushes, to kind of recondition your brushes, things like that. Even if they're cheap brushes, still, it's nice to be able to kind of have them last for a little bit more than a month or 2.
Yeah, I'm really guilty for that.
Yeah.
I think at home right now, while I'm here, I still have brushes sitting in the water the mug on my desk.
That's not the ideal way to hold them,
No.
actually.
No. What touches your heart when you see them on the table and you're like, yeah, this is my army?
I seem to be a little bit more chaos oriented.
Yeah.
You
you
know,
are
my-
wearing a Blood for the Blood God shirt.
Right, yeah. My first big, like, completed, probably 1,500 point, completely painted in the whole deal army for 40K was just kind of straight, like, Black Legion Chaos. And in Age of Sigmar, I've gone into predominantly, like, a Chaos soup where I've got a lot of, like, Putrid Blight King, and then, like, Rockbringers, but then you can also mix in like Beastmen and also Skaven, and that's really cool. I like that kind of stuff. For Kill Team, which is kind of my jam these days, I just finished a couple days ago. I finished my Death Guard. You saw those downstairs a little bit.
All Plague Marines, which is a little bit different than I think a lot of people are used to seeing.
Yeah, I just don't like I'm not a competitive player. So,
Yeah.
you know, if the meta says, oh, you really got to run lots of Poxwalkers or whatever, I'm probably not going to, just because I mean, if I like the models, I will, but I kind of don't like the models for Poxwalkers. They all have, like, kind of the same face.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a reason in the fluff, you know, they all have, like, kind of crazy smiling Joker face, you know, or whatever. But I'm like, I'll paint some eventually because I want to build out my roster, obviously. But for right now, for what I was bringing to Valhalla, I'm bringing 6 Plague Marines. They come to about 99 points. And
Okay.
so
Nice.
that's kind of cool. I like that paint style, but I'm also a big fan, too, of just regular Astartes. But I am getting back into my first ever army, too, because I have built a Tau kill team.
Okay.
Like, my very first army ever was Tau, and I never completed it. This was in 5th edition, when the Tau were terrible.
Yeah.
Because they were still running like a 3.5 or 4, you know, codex. And I just felt they would be super easy to paint, you know, and they were. But then I really, you can't convert Tau a whole bunch.
No, there's not a whole lot to go
and
on.
I started looking at the Chaos, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff I can do.
People have said there's a lot of freedom in Chaos.
Yeah, and Orcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so, definitely. If you really like to convert and do that kind of stuff, I would say those are your 2 armies, honestly.
And it's now officially Orktober.
You're right, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out. But I eventually probably want to make an Orc kill team as well. That's one of the things I've been loving so much about kill team, speaking of 40K, is just that, again, that buffet thing.
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of this. I mean, I brought 4 kill teams here. I've got my Black Templars, my Black Legion, and I've got my Death Guard, and I've got my Necrons, which I'd never painted Necrons before.
And there's still only maybe 30 models total between all of them.
Yeah.
In there is the incredibly hardworking kitchen staff, providing us all with amazing home-cooked meals every day.
I want it to feel like where you can come in, you've paid for your ticket, and you've gotten here, that you don't have to leave, you don't really have to participate or spend anything else. You just game. You're being fed, you have a place to sleep for all those days, and then you just wander around playing whatever you feel like. You are supposed to make friends, you know, you meet new people, you're like, hey, what's this game? And everyone's like, let me teach you.
Let's play Twilight Imperium for the next 8 hours.
Let's play some Zombicide. Let me show you how to play Company of Iron or Kill Team or Shadespire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's super friendly and, like, they're bringing their games and they're looking forward to showing off what what their favorite thing is. Maybe they don't get to play it in their meta, and so they get to show it off here.
Yeah.
And everybody's bringing, like, their top, most beautifully painted miniatures. They're getting to play on amazing tables. And so, yes, I want it to feel like Gamers Heaven, and hopefully I'm getting close.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there. We're there. It's been so much fun.
Figured the food was really what did it over.
That was the tipping point. But so again, thank you for organizing and running this event. Thank you for joining me here in what I've adopted as my salon by the fireplace for these interviews.
This is usually where all the YouTube interviews happen.
Yeah. So, but it's just for me now.
Oh, okay.
No one else. If you see anyone else sitting here, it's a different room.
Copyright.
Nathan. Copyright Nathan. Anvil of War Gaming. This fireplace, I'm taking it home with me on the plane. But yeah, so again, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. Again, Miranda from WargameGirl. Check her out on YouTube and other social medias. I hope you've enjoyed what content you've seen so far and what content is to come. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. This has been an incredible experience for myself. As you can see behind me, still a beautiful view, which I think I've talked about ad infinitum so far. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. It's been an absolute blast meeting all these amazing people and providing some hopefully enjoyable content for you guys. So the last thing I wanted to say is thank you all for helping us get to and or over 1,000 subscribers. excuse me, it's quite the accomplishment. We're extremely proud and extremely grateful for you guys for all your love and support. And as you know, we had our 1,000 subscriber giveaway happen a little while ago. I just wanted to congratulate our YouTube subscriber Gabriel Fortin for winning that. You had less than 1 in 1,000 chance, which is pretty incredible. So hopefully you enjoy your beautiful new box set. And as always, it's great to see you guys. Take care and enjoy. So long.
Sponsored by...
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Somebody is recording while recording us.
So we've got some recorder inception going on here.